Set, everyone's fine?
We're going to start with the photo.
There'd be a good one in there somewhere.
I believe it.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. I apologize that you've been waiting, and I know it's cold outside. This morning, the Progressive Conservative Caucus met to discuss a proposal for 9 members of the Wild Rose Caucus to join our team, and I'm pleased to announce that our caucus has accepted this proposal. Today, we are making a significant step towards reuniting the Conservative family in Alberta. Throughout my public life and my private life, my political life, I've always believed Conservatives should be united together in bringing our common principles and our combined energy and talent to public service. Our province needs united leadership and shared purpose in tackling the challenges that we face, whether you speak of climate change and the environment, pipelines, our fiscal situation, and so on. And so today the PC caucus welcomes the leader of the Wild Rose, Danielle Smith, and many key members of her team to our caucus. These MLAs are both wanted and needed in our government caucus as part of our team. Alberta is stronger today with these committed Albertans working together. Since becoming Premier and a member of the Legislative Assembly, I have personally been impressed with the work ethic and the dedication and the passion of members of the Wild Rose Party. And it quickly became clear to me that we indeed share the same core political values and principles that are also widely shared by Albertans in this province. So it's good news that, from my perspective, that so many members of the Wild Rose Caucus are willing to lend their skills, their talent, and their experience to the cause of providing excellence in government in our province. Once again, the government caucus will represent the full diversity of voices and regions from across Alberta, north, south, east, west, and rural. As a united team, we have a great deal of work to do in the weeks and in the months ahead. In the face of global economic uncertainty, we will be preparing a budget that will seek to protect our strong financial and economic position, that will keep our core public services efficient and also sustainable, and that will ensure that Alberta that we have built together over generations remains the best place in the world to work, to raise a family, and to live. And to do that, we need Conservatives, we need all Conservatives pulling in the same direction. We need strong progressive Conservative perspectives to inform the decisions that we make. And in that respect, as Premier and as leader of the Progressive Conservative Association of Alberta, my door will remain open to all small C Conservatives who wish to work together with us. In closing, I would like to extend my personal thanks to Danielle Smith. Danielle, you've shown considerable personal courage and determination in making this decision. This is the same courage and determination that has served you and your team so well during your 5 years as leader of the Wild Rose. And so I very much look forward to working with you and with all of our new members within our Progressive Conservative team. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Premier. This is indeed an historic day in Alberta, one that has been several years in the making. This afternoon, I tendered my resignation as Wild Rose leader and notified the Speaker that 9 members of the Wild Rose Caucus, including myself, will be joining the government caucus. The others are Rob Anderson, Gary Bickman, Rod Fox, Jason Hale, Bruce McAllister, Blake Peterson, Bruce Rowe, and Jeff Wilson. Today we stand together, ready to move on from past partisan rivalries and lead Alberta with renewed focus and a strong sense of purpose. When I became Wild Rose leader more than 5 years ago, I did so with one singular objective in mind: to return to government the Conservative values and principles that I've spent my entire life defending. Values and principles like balancing the budget, eliminating wasteful spending, respecting property rights, decentralizing decision-making, and clean ethical government. Over the course of the last several months, I've become more and more convinced that these are values I share with Premier Prentice. Past premiers have merely paid lip service to these issues, saying the right things and then doing the opposite. But Premier Prentice has shown me and my caucus that he is different. From the time he took office, he implemented several of the policies we've advocated for, and he's done so with clear purpose. I had a chance to sit down with him earlier this month, a novel concept in itself. Of the 4 premiers that I've seen, he was the first who was willing to meet. Over the course of our conversation, I became cautiously but increasingly convinced that his words and his actions align. He has moved swiftly to confront the reality of low energy prices, to protect property rights, and to clean up government. When the government accepted one of our amendments to the Accountability Act to prevent double dipping on public sector severance packages, I knew this premier was different. I believe Premier Prentice is firmly committed to advancing the values and the principles that we have stood on. We agreed to a set of aligned values and principles in 10 key areas that will guide us forward, including balancing the budget and paying off debt, strengthening health care decision-making at the local level, and strengthening property rights. I encourage all Conservatives to read the statement of aligned values and principles. With our MLAs playing key roles in his government, I know we can work together to achieve even greater success as united Conservatives. This unification comes at a critical point. With global economic certainty threatening Albertans' bottom line, now perhaps more than ever, is the time for sound fiscal principles to carry us through so that we can continue to provide the programs and services that Albertans need and expect from their government. It is not a time for partisanship. Albertans expect strong leadership, and that's exactly what they're going to get. Before I close, I want to thank the thousands of everyday Albertans who worked so hard to support me and Wild Rose over the years. We've brought Wild Rose as a movement into the mainstream and become a positive force in Alberta politics. We've succeeded in steering the province away from failed leaders and failed policies. We've succeeded in getting fiscal conservatism, responsive public health care, property rights, and ethical government to the fore of Alberta's public debate. We've stood by our principles, and we've helped to make a real difference in people's lives. For this we can, and we should be very proud. But I assure you that our work is not over yet. The way I see it, it has only just started. We are now at a point in our history that requires our voice and our principles in the room and at the table, not outside the door. That's why I'm here today, standing with Premier Prentice. It's also why I've asked the Wild Rose Executive Committee to put forward a reunification resolution to Wild Rose members at their earliest opportunity, and I will work hard to encourage our Wild Rose members to pass it. As I said before, we need to move forward and deal with the realities that Alberta faces, and we need to do it together. Thank you, and happy to take questions.
Premier, how do you respond to critics who say you've abandoned the progressive voters to put your party on this 2012?
We are the Progressive Conservative Party. We will continue to be a broad tent Conservative Party that embraces progressive voters. I mean, it's clear in my own personal record, and it's clearly something that our caucus feels strongly about, and I think something that the people who have joined us feel strongly about.
Ms. Smith, what do you say to the 400,000 people that voted for the Wild Rose Party in the last election, that worked on your campaign, that worked on the by-elections, that worked on your leadership race, that donated money to the Wild Rose Party over the last 2.5 years? What do you say to them today when, by and large, what we're hearing from many people that are within that party, they strongly disapprove of what you're doing today?
Well, I think we'll hear from a lot of voices over the next little while. I would say to them that we won, that we clearly managed to move away from 2 administrations that were not moving Alberta forward, that were not serving Albertans well. And we have a premier that shares the same conservative values that we do. If you look at our statement of principles, our aligned values, it's very clear that the lion's share of Wild Rose policy is contained in those shared values. I'm asking Wild Rose members to come with us, that this is a time, especially in this era of global economic uncertainty, where we need Conservatives to stand together to be able to make the hard choices that we know are going to need to be made over the next number of months.
En français, M. Prentice, pourquoi accueillir les députés du Wild Rose dans votre parti?
Parce que c'est très important de bâtir notre parti. C'est notre parti progressif conservateur. C'est un parti très fort et nous devons sème les autres personnes pour bâtir notre parti.
Can you explain what healthcare choices and making healthcare sustainable mean? Some of the people have already said that they think that means privatization of the healthcare system.
I couldn't hear you actually in the back there, Darcy, but I think you're asking a question about healthcare.
What is it? Are you moving towards privatization with this agreement?
No, we're not moving towards privatization. We are moving towards a stronger healthcare system with, that respects decentralized input in terms of how we move forward. We will have additional voices at the table that will reflect concerns that have been articulated by the Wild Rose Party about the healthcare system. But if you look at the values that we're speaking of, we share the same desire to have a strong public healthcare system and to make the managerial improvements that we need to, which the minister is currently working on. We welcome additional voices to help us arrive at those improvements.
Ms. Smith, I want to read you something that you said
What does
when
support for
Harry
increased
Cole and
choice
Ian Donovan crossed the floor. You said, quote, that they gave up the perks, they gave up the perks to cover this on Rob and Heather, to serve Albertans not for personal gain because they wanted to put Albertans first. Today, we saw the opposite in referring to Cole and Donovan. How are you going to look them in the face, after saying something like that? And when you're pretty much doing the same thing.
I would look at this quite differently. When you look at the fact that it begins with a shared statement on values and principles, so that we know very clearly that this Premier and the direction he wants to take his party are very much in alignment with what Wild Rose principles and values are. These are the values that I fought for through different jobs that I've had over the past 20 years, and I am confident, having met with the Premier, having watched him in action for the last number of weeks and months, that he shares these values, and I'm looking forward to working with him to implement them.
We're going to go to the phone now. Operator, please put through the next caller. We're going to take one from the phone, Graham.
I'm just responding to Graham Thompson's question.
Okay.
The question was whether I will be shuffling the cabinet tomorrow. The answer is no.
When? Are you doing it soon, though, this week?
No.
Operator, please put through the next caller.
Your first question comes from Don Drade from Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Ms. Smith, may I ask what you have to say to the 5 MLAs you leave behind whose argument to principle is every bit as strong as yours because they're continuing to do what they were elected to do?
I have nothing but admiration and respect for all of the Wild Rose Caucus members. We decided last week to come together and decide what our path forward would be, and we made one choice, and clearly they made another. I'm still hopeful that our Wild Rose Party will put forward a resolution to our members and ask them to join in a united Conservative movement to be able to face the challenges head-on. I would hope that the Wild Rose MLAs would do the same, but I have nothing but respect for my colleagues.
Your party exec says that they have no intention of putting that motion in front of the party. They had no idea this was coming, and they don't think Mr. Prentice represents change. Do you have any standing to ask your party to merge with the PCs?
It was one of the last requests that I made in my resignation letter. I would hope that if they have the confidence that the resolution would fail, that they would put it forward. I have the confidence it would pass, which is why I've asked them to do it. I ultimately believe that when you have these kinds of decisions made in a grassroots party, you do need to have grassroots members have an opportunity to vote on it. And I would be very hopeful that the Wild Rose executive would put it forward to our members to decide whether it's in the next 120 days, which is what the Constitution requires on giving notification like this, or at the AGM next year. But I think it's important enough for our members to take seriously, to consider, and to look at the opportunity of becoming a united Conservative movement under the leadership of Mr. Prentice, who I think is going to do wonderful things for our province.
Just to follow up my question going on regarding cabinet, sir, is it your plan then to put some of these 4 crossers into your cabinet at some point relatively soon?
I have made no decisions relative to cabinet. Cabinet is obviously my prerogative as the Premier. We have some very able people that are joining our caucus. I will turn my attention to that in the days ahead, but I have no immediate plans, and it's not part of what we're discussing today.
Position for Ms. Smith?
Discussions to join the political party began, and when did you make your ultimate decision?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that there have been joint friends of Mr. Prentice and I who have been trying to get us to consider this option for several months. It's become somewhat more intense over the last several weeks, and different individuals from different caucuses were talking to each other. That turned into a more formal discussion of whether we could come to an agreement on shared principles and values. And it ended up moving along fairly quickly at that point when we found out that there was a lot of common ground between the agenda that Premier Prentice wants to put forward and the Wild Rose agenda. So it has been, the discussions have been going on for months, but I would say that they have had escalated in the last couple of weeks.
You have a question. You have a question.
Ms. Smith has just said that your party has adopted the vast majority of her party's policies, right-wing policies. Many will say that you moved your party hard right by adopting this merger with the two parties. How do you respond to that?
Well, this is not a merger of parties. Let's be clear about that. This is a unification of conservatives as progressive conservatives. And you asked a question, for example, about health care. We all support a public health care system in this province, period. And if you look at the mandate letter that was given to Minister Mandel, it reflects similar language to what you see in the common principles. Clearly, we all want to see choice. We want to see more efficient delivery of a public health care system, but that is what we're committed to. I have not moved the party in any direction. We are moving ahead as a broad tent progressive conservative party that can accommodate these 9 individuals as people whom we respect and whose voices we want inside our party and our tent.
And what about this commitment to parental rights? What does that mean to GSAs going forward?
We'll deal with specific legislative issues in the days ahead, including that particular bill. This is not about that. If you look at what I have been saying through the leadership race, and if you look at what I have been speaking about since I became the Premier, if you look at the direction that I have given to the ministers in my government, you will see what Daniel Smith and others view as common values and principles that we share. And we intend to move ahead on that basis, and we can work together. And this province will be stronger with Conservatives working together. These are difficult times for us as Albertans. Whether you talk about the issues we face externally relative to the environment and challenges to our environment record, whether you speak about the challenges that we face constructing pipelines that link to our future prosperity, and whether you speak about some of the very tough issues that we're going to have to deal with surrounding our public finances. These are challenging times. We need Conservatives working together to find solutions that will be in the best interests of Alberta.
We're going to take 3 more questions.
On this? There's been an effective and very vocal opposition for a number of years. There's obviously some bad blood between some members from the floor, from the debate. Was there any pushback during the caucus meeting? Were there any people unhappy with this?
Well, we had a very lengthy discussion, as you know, because you've been patiently waiting for a puff of smoke. It was, the support was overwhelming. It was not unanimous, to be clear, but the support was overwhelming, and it was very forceful.
Would we be here if you hadn't lost the 4 by-elections, Ms. Smith?
Pardon me?
Would we be here if you hadn't lost the 4 by-elections?
The loss of the 4 by-elections was no doubt a setback, and it did cause our party and myself and my caucus mates to do some self-reflection. I think there's a couple lessons that I took from the by-elections. Number 1 is that Albertans have a lot of confidence in this Premier, that he's going to be able to turn the corner and move forward on the values that Albertans share and that we have put forward in this shared values document. That's one. The other, I think, that has me concerned is the fact, is looking at the Calgary Elbow by-election, that we had a clear majority of people who wanted one of the 2 Conservative parties, and yet it was a Liberal party, the Alberta Party, that almost snuck up the middle. And I have to tell you, that kind of vote splitting took place at the federal level for an awful long time before there was a united Conservative movement that came together to be able to have a unified approach and able to form government. And I have to be mindful of that. Is our continued opposition and our continued inability to unify going to result in actually having a Liberal or NDP government one day? I certainly didn't get into politics to elect a Liberal or NDP government. I got into politics because I'm a Conservative. I thought that under the 2 previous administrations that the government had slipped away from the values that I held dear, that many of our members held dear. I didn't ever feel like I left the Conservative Party. I felt it had left me. And with Mr. Prentice back in the leadership, I have to tell you, I feel like it's a homecoming, and I hope that other Conservatives feel the same.
Last question.
Your party, the Wild Rose Party, and your leadership was viewed as the most aggressive and effective opposition in Alberta history. How do you feel now leaving Alberta without, highly fractured and much smaller opposition?
I have to say, if you're going to be the official opposition leader, you have to really want to take down the government and really want to take down the Premier. I don't want to take down this Premier. I want this Premier to succeed, and I want to be part and parcel of helping him succeed. A few of the things that were really influential for me over the last couple of weeks was seeing how the Premier dealt head-on with the fiscal challenges that we're facing. That did not happen under the previous two administrations. The fact that he made it very clear 2 weeks ago that we were facing a $6 to $7 billion hole in the budget, and we had to deal with it. I have great admiration for that. On the issue of Bill 10, when he saw that it needed a pause, he stepped in right away. If you saw his press conference, he took personal responsibility for that 3 times. It's been a long time since we saw a Premier do that. And one of my caucus mates, Gary Bickman, he felt that he had went a little too far in question period one day, and we found out that the Premier snuck over and put an apology note in the desk of Gary Bickman. I have to tell you, like, this is not what we've become accustomed to seeing in previous premiers, and it just said to me that this is a man with the character as well as the ideas that I and my caucus mates who are joining me today can support.
We're going to wrap it up there. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Into debt financing in your contract.
Wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Happy New Year. Thank you.